Let's get over to 23&Me. I definitely wanted to include the story in here. This has touched a nerve everywhere. So 23&Me, the company, obviously very famous. It popularized the whole DNA testing thing to see your heritage. People found lost relatives, and there were great stories. Ancestry.com. Well, now we're seeing the downside of some decades long of voluntarily millions of people just giving DNA samples to private companies. Private companies have the ability to just sell it off if they want. They don't necessarily keep your data all that secure. They claim that you can have your data deleted. Is it really deleted? Well, now the company is going into bankruptcy, and its bankruptcy means that its assets, the only valuable thing on its balance sheet is what? Your DNA. If you submitted your DNA there, our own James Lee did a video about it. Let's take a listen.
Heads up, if you've ever given your DNA to 23&Me, you should probably go and delete that right now. This morning, it was announced that 23&Me filed for bankruptcy and that its CEO, Ann Wojcicki, was resigning. 23&Me is, of course, the DNA testing company. They said that this morning, 23&Me shares dropped more than 50% in early trading after the company filed for bankruptcy late Sunday, blah, 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 shareholder value, whatever. Here is what's actually alarming. Quote, 23&Me's global database has grown into a virtually unprecedented repository of human genetic information that can now be sold in bankruptcy proceedings. That's right, the privacy statement of 23&Me says that, quote, if they are involved in a bankruptcy, merger, acquisition, reorganization, or sale of assets, your personal information may be accessed, sold, or transferred as part of that transaction. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the DNA that you've given them could be scooped up by whoever and used in all sorts of crazy ways. Things like maybe cloning you without your permission. Your DNA could be sold to malicious actors who could then use that DNA and leave it at crime scenes that you were never at. Of course, bioweapons is always a possibility. I mean, okay, those are admittedly kind of crazy examples. Maybe they won't happen. But then there are those mundane use cases that probably will happen. One of which is insurance companies using that DNA data to deny you coverage, which is something they definitely love to do. So if you don't want that, here are the instructions on how you can delete your data from 23&Me. Pause to read.
Yeah, so actually yesterday after the news broke, the 23&Me website was experiencing problems because so many people were trying to delete their data. But, you know, that's a drop in the bucket, if we're being real, of the 15 million DNA samples that they have. Regulators are starting to take notice. The government of California, let's put this up there, the Attorney General is now urgently issuing a consumer alert for 23&Me customers, asking them to take down their genetic data. One point somebody made to me, Ryan, is that this is actually really scary because this is the most mundane but dystopian use case. Let's say you're a healthcare company and you want to decide whether to insure somebody or not, or how to adjust their premiums. What would you do? Me, I would buy, let's say, genetic repository of 15 million people, and then I would cross-reference your name with any of the samples of your relatives and see what you are genetically predisposed to. Pre-diabetic? Oh, let's add $5 more a month to your premium. You won't even notice it. You'll just think that that's your quote. You also have something called an LLM, which would easily be able to use AI and others to scrub those and flag, let's say, the top 10% of the most uninsurable people, and then do everything you can bureaucratically to make sure that those people never become a customer of yours, and give them a sky-high premium whenever they apply, or let's say deny some coverage here or there, and you can move things in a direction. And you know, if you're, let's say, United Health Group or Blue Cross or any of these other people, you have market caps in the hundreds of billions, this ain't gonna cost anything to be able to buy this. And the potential savings for you in the future, sky high.
Rare moment to be a tiny bit grateful to Obamacare, which, because before Obamacare, there was no ceiling on what you could charge for somebody with a pre-existing condition. And in fact, if you were a cancer survivor, you could be straight up told, no, we're actually not going to insure you. Obamacare said you basically have to keep it within this range, and you can't move it much. And so, but what they will do is they would use this data and move the people that they can all the way up to here. You'd be like, oh, gee, why? How'd that happen? And you don't even know because it wasn't even your DNA that got tested. It was somebody else's.
Well,
turns
that's
out
what
you have
people
a
need to
gene
understand.
that-
I mean, the craziest thing, and I really have complicated feelings about this one, right? Because we all love when the Golden State Killer gets caught. Oh, that's fantastic. It's like, well, how did they do it? Well, they took his DNA and they uploaded it to like 10 different websites, and they found his fourth cousin, and they worked his way down from the fourth cousin down this tree, and then we figured out this was the only guy who could have done it. And you're like, I don't know, man. I mean, that's pretty creepy. That's weird. He was just the first. There's been multiple killers, actually, or rapists who have been caught by using this DNA database since 2020. They're fascinating stories to read, but they do raise a lot of questions about privacy, et cetera. And here, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want with this, Ryan. Yes, they have to abide by some regulation. You have regulators who have to approve any said sale. But I mean, that healthcare one I just gave, there's nothing technically that violates your privacy about that one, right? It's just that it would be used for super dystopian ends. So it's one of those where, look, I never participated in one of these specifically because I was always afraid of things like this. And so I guess if they really will delete your data, it's worth trying, right now, because this is scary stuff. And don't forget that already 23andMe had been hacked previously. Let's put it up there on the screen. This was just, a few years ago. February 2024, hackers got nearly 7 million people's data from 23andMe, and the firm blamed users, quote, for not securing it enough. This was, I believe it was sold on the dark web or others, and there's apparently been allegations that the Chinese government and other large data brokerages have been trying and stealing this stuff now for years and years. So this is just a wake-up call, really, about the entire industry. And I hope that everybody pays attention. If you did submit your data to one of these, maybe try and go and delete it after they've given what it is, or alert your relatives. I know a lot of elderly people were doing. People were giving it as gifts because they thought it was fun. Right. And I totally get it, for looking back into it. But the real downside here, in terms of what this could all become, especially in the age of AI, I think it's very scary. Something that has been flagged to me by multiple different people. And I have noticed this one hit a nerve, the 23andMe. People are really upset at the idea that their most intimate thing about themselves and their bodies, their genetics, their family could be used for such nefarious purposes. They were assured that this was just about ancestry. And now that the company's in bankruptcy, it literally, they have a fiduciary responsibility to seek the highest bidder.
I think that we should trust whatever company Chairman Xi sends out to buy this data to use it in a way that is best for
beneficial for mankind.
For mankind and our collective betterment.
All right. Maybe you're right, Ryan. Maybe we should just surrender to our Chinese overlords. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.